thought to teach you in detail a very great writer, an ancient writer, Longinus. Many questions have been asked always in the examination, and as a scholar of English literature, there are so many things which are actually important for every student to understand and know about Longinus and what does actually Longinus mean when he takes the term sublimity in literature. And many a times questions has been asked between or the difference, the distinguishing between the true sublime and the false sublime. What do you understand by the true sublime and false sublime? So, students, I would like to tell you that we do not know certainly that who has written this great treatise known as On the Sublime. And so, though it may be incorrect, it is ascribed to Cassius Longinus, Cassius Longinus, Longinus. And even we do not know that when this great treatise was actually written. The manuscripts which we have received are incomplete with a lot of gaps, and the English version of the title is also misleading. The Greek term hypos, Hypsos, hypsos, does not actually mean sublimity, जैसा कि हम समझते हैं. And if you remember that Wordsworth somewhere wrote that Longinus treats of animated, impassioned, energetic, or if you will, elevated writing always. It has come down to us in an imperfect form. Lot of things are missing in this great work. And it is also true, or we can say it is also estimated, that 1/3 of the original book has actually not come down to us. So जो कुछ भी हमारे पास है, that is in itself a great work of merit, a great illuminating work, and the treatise is in itself unique as far as its interpretation of the classical spirit is concerned, its sanity, its freshness, and the author's insight into the essentials of art. Longinus wrote on the Sublime for what? To show the certain inaccuracies and some defects in the treatment of the sublime. And Longinus has adopted a very homely method in the treatment of it. A very important point which I'm going to tell you now is that in the beginning, he has addressed a young friend. And who is this young friend? इसका एक बार नाम पूछा गया था एग्जाम में. So such a minute question. He addresses a young friend known as Posthumus. Posthumous Terenius, TERE, लिख लीजिए, TERENIANUS, ये पूरा नाम है. In the very beginning of this treatise, he has addressed a young friend named Posthumous Terenius and points out the inadequacies of the treatise. And in pointing out the insufficiency of the Caecilius on the Sublime, who is considered to be a different writer, जो मैंने आपको शुरू में बताया, Caecilius. And in pointing out the insufficiency of the Caecilius on the Sublime, Longinus has remarked here that it fell below the dignity of the whole subject, and while it failed signally to grasp the essential points and convey to its reader but little of that practical help which it should be a writer's principal aim to give. और इस तरीके से क्या हुआ कि Longinus has given two things vital. And what are these two things? What are these two things? Students, the treatment of the subject, and second was the revelation of the method. While he was concentrating, dwelling upon the subject matter as well as on the methods, Longinus has tried to define the word sublime. And according to Longinus, what is sublimity? Sublimity, students, is a certain distinction and excellence of expression, and that is from no other source than this, that the greatest poets and the writers have derived their eminence and gained an immortality and renown. इसको कहते हैं sublimity. बाद में Longinus ने डिस्टिंग्विश किया है बिटवीन टू वर्ड्स. एक वर्ड है और एक वर्ड है sublimity. He has distinguished between craftsmanship and sublimity. And the author regards that it is the result of sublimity that transport arises. It is not the literary artifice alone or the craftsmanship merely which can germinate transport. And if we move on the other chapters of the Longinus, the author has endeavored to answer whether there is such a thing as an art, the sublime or the lofty. And in this connection, he points out that there are some who hold that they are entirely in error, who would bring such matters under the percept of art. A lofty tone is innate and does not come by teaching. Nature is the only art that can compass it. Works of nature are, they think, made worse and altogether feebler when widened by the rules of art. So he has given certain views in this great sublime work. And the expression of the sublime is more exposed to danger when it goes its own way without the guidance of knowledge. And by this, the author has meant that nature is necessary, but it must be guided and helped by art. He has also maintained that the function of literature is neither to teach or instruct nor to persuade anything. Longinus की जो sublime है, it surpasses all bounds of knowledge and it seeks to trace ecstasy, the transport, which is known as a literature of power, imagination, and these things have vitally affected. And it is the passion and imagination which to a great extent has given momentum to sublimity. So, students, आपको समझ में आ रहा है? Just keep updating me. Just 1 second. So, students, here I am just trying to explain you in a very simple terms about this great work on the sublime written by a great writer Longinus. And if you study the original papers of Net, you will find many questions have been coming from Longinus and on sublimity. थोड़ा सा इसको और इंटरेस्टिंग हम बनाते हैं आपके लिए कि there are 5 sources of the sublime. 5 sources of the sublime. Most important is greatness or elevation of thought, the ability to grasp the grand conceptions, and which is only possible if the author is truly noble of soul. और इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में Longinus quotes from Homer and from the opening passage of the book of Genesis in the Bible. He also cites as a special example a complete ode by Sappho, the Greek lyric poetess. And the second source is inspired emotion, on which he promises a separate treatise. And thirdly, the sublime may derive from effective but unobtrusive use of the rhetorical figures. Okay, a student has asked, what is the name? What she is not able to understand the meaning of the word sublime. I think yesterday also in my lecture I had explained you the meaning of the word sublime, a thing which pleases all and pleases always. That is known as sublime. ये sublimity है क्या? बहुत ग्रैंड वर्ड है, बहुत बड़ा वर्ड है. हम हर चीज के लिए सबलाइन वर्ड नहीं लगा सकते हैं. मिल्टन की पोइट्री के लिए हम लगा सकते हैं सबलाइन. मैंने कल आपको मिल्टन का एग्जाम्पल देके भी समझाया था. एंड Longinus has never been as influential a critic as Plato, as Aristotle, though he did enjoy an understandable vogue with the onset of Romanticism. William Wordsworth was very much interested in him. Now, I'll explain you some more important things regards the examination. The false sublime. What is the false sublime? Longinus का opinion है, he is of the view that false sublimity is marked by bombast of language, and to support his argument कि false sublimity होती क्या है, he took a passage by Achilles and has tried to dwell upon in the distinction between the false and the real sublime. तो उस पैराग्राफ को यहां पे साइट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. I'll just explain you that Longinus is of the view that tasteless timidity is not to be appreciated even in a tragic play. In a tragedy, it is not allowed that there should be anything pseudo tragic. Pseudo का मतलब होता है false. And he strongly maintains that evils, जो evils होते हैं, vices होते हैं, are the swellings both in a body and in diction also. Diction means choice of words, which are sometimes we inflate it, that becomes unreal, and thus because it is unreal they threaten us with the reverse of its aim. जो हमारा aim होता है उसका reverse हो जाता है. And Longinus is of the opinion that very often it is seen that we use affected triflings कि कुछ सबलाइम चीज पैदा हो जाए, कुछ बहुत बड़ी चीज हम कर ले जाएं, लेकिन उस क्रिएशन में, उस सब्लिमिटी को क्रिएट करने में क्या होता है? देयर कम्स फ्रिजिडिटी, एंड दैट बिकम्स pseudo sublime. Pseudo means false sublime. And the writer is also of the opinion that when there is the cheap display of passion, there arises no sublime. Sometimes there is no genuine display of passion. It is merely intoxicated emotions coming forward and prevailing upon the intellect of the pedant. And he has also suggested that above all these vices, there is a gradual decay in sublimity. Decay मतलब खराब हो जाता है sublime word. And the restoration of sublime can be possible after a lot of endeavors, technical skills, greatness of thought, passion. These are things which are very significant to the creation of sublime. So this is called, students, false sublime. Now we will discuss the true sublime. What is true sublimity? True sublimity है क्या? चारों तरफ ऐसा विश्वास है कि लोंजाइनस से पहले जो पोइट्री का फंक्शन था वो क्या था? It was to instruct and to give us amusement or delight. And so the greatest importance was attached that the poetry should always serve the moral purpose of humanity, and that its main function is to elevate the mankind spiritually, आध्यात्मिक रूप से इसको बढ़ाना. And it was unanimously believed. Unanimously मतलब सबको. अगर हम प्लेटो की बात करें, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू टेक द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ प्लेटो, वो कवि था, वो पोएट था who does not cater to the moral need of the humanity should be banished from the society. That poetry which does not serve the moral cause of the society was not better than the coming up of the falsehood in the society. So the moral aspect of poetry was taken for granted by all, and consequently instruction became the chief function of poetry. कि अगर कविता है तो हमको वो इंस्ट्रक्ट कर रही है. It is instructing us. Getting my point, students? And Longinus could not be satisfied with the widely popular notion that poetry is to instruct and to delight and prose is to persuade. Longinus stressed the point that it is true that the chief function of poetry, the chief function of the poetry is to instruct and to delight, that of prose is to persuade, but it is not the element of instruction or delight wherein the greatness of a poet lies, not equally does the greatness of a prose writer lie in the element of persuasion. And according to Longinus, the greatness of a poet or a prose writer lies in sublime thoughts. क्योंकि Longinus के लिए sublime in literature is actually the result of a great soul, high perfection, and even you should have a lofty mind. And so we can say that it is actually a product of a great and noble mind. And he believed that sublimity lies in intensity. He also believed that sublimity is the note that rings from a great mind. He strongly believes that sublimity is always an eminence and excellence in language. जैसा मैंने आपको मिल्टन का एग्जाम्पल देके समझाया था. So he strongly believed that it is the element of ecstasy and transport with the help of which sublime is achieved in literature. And it is not the argumentation or only display of reason with the help of which we can never achieve sublime in literature. It is through imagination that sublime appeals to us. It is not through reason that sublime may attract us. Now I think you must have got a better understanding of it by now. अब तक आपको शायद कुछ clarity आ गई होगी. I suppose most of you students must be getting this lecture for the first time in your English days of your universities. इसलिए हो सकता है कि थोड़ा सा आपको दिक्कत हो रही हो. अब हम चलते हैं एक उस पॉइंट पे जो कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है आपको समझने के लिए. और पॉइंट यह है कि लोंजाइनस ने डिस्कवर किया है 5 प्रिंसिपल सोर्सेस को. He has discovered 5 principal sources of the sublime. जैसा कि मैंने फिर से याद करिए, मैंने मिल्टन का एग्जाम्पल देके आपको समझाया था. नाउ यहां पे हम आपको पूरा डिटेल समझा रहे हैं. Longinus has discovered 5 principal sources of the sublime. पहला सोर्स, पहला पॉइंट, grandeur of thought. Two, capacity for strong emotions. Three, appropriate use of figures of speech. Number 4, nobility of diction. And last point, dignified and elaborated composition. Dignified and elaborate composition. तो ये 5 सोर्स हैं जिसमें कि पहला और दूसरा, ग्रैंडर ऑफ थॉट, कैपेसिटी फॉर स्ट्रॉन्ग इमोशंस, ये क्या हैं? दीज आर नेचुरल गिफ्ट्स, ये पैदा नहीं की जा सकती. एंड द अदर 3, अप्रोप्रिएट यूज ऑफ फिगर ऑफ स्पीच, नोबिलिटी ऑफ डिक्शन, कि कैसे आप शब्द का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, और डिग्निफाइड एंड एलैबोरेट कंपोजिशन. तो ये क्या है? तो दीज 3 आर द प्रोडक्ट्स ऑफ आर्ट. एंड Longinus has combined the natural gifts with the art. Though some critics believe that the sublime is an endowment and cannot be acquired by teaching. केवल पढ़ा करके हम किसी भी चीज को, किसी भी व्यक्तित्व को, किसी भी चीज को हम सब्लिमिटी नहीं दे सकते. But this view is actually not accepted widely on the wide platform because we can say that many things are there which are actually inborn, so through which we can actually produce something of sublimity. Now, to get into more details, और यही डिटेल्स ही आपको पढ़ने हैं to understand the exact system of the grandeur of thought and sublimity and Longinus. पहला पॉइंट है grandeur of thought. First point, which is natural. Grandeur of thought is considered to be coming to the foremost rank. पहला रैंक है. Because why? Because sublimity is the echo of a great soul. अगर कोई पर्सन मीन है, ignoble है, he actually cannot produce a sublime work. Why? Because his thoughts cannot be sublime. A person has to be a genius to reach the great heights. And Longinus ने कहीं पे लिखा है, कोट किया है, quote unquote में, that it is impossible for those whose whole lives are full of mean and servile ideas and habits to produce anything that is admirable and worthy of an immortal life. It is only natural that great ascents should fall from the lips of those whose thoughts have been deep and full of majesty. कितनी सही बात Longinus ने लिखा है regarding the grandeur of thought. And Longinus has even given several examples from Homer to illustrate the sublimity of conception, and considers Homer's Iliad superior to his Odyssey. The Odyssey is simply an epilogue to the Iliad. In the Odyssey, Homer does not maintain the grandeur of thought as in the Iliad. And in the Odyssey, Homer may be likened to the sinking sun, whose grandeur remains without its intensity. And similarly, there is a decline in grandeur in Milton's Paradise Regained, which one notices in Paradise Lost. The earlier poems of Wordsworth are superior to later effusions, such as his political sonnets. So we can come to the conclusion that the grandeur of thought is the primary condition in judging the merit of a literary work. Clear, students? So we move on to the second point, that is capacity for strong emotions. What is this capacity for strong emotions? Here we can say that at the end of the treatise that is on the sublime, Longinus promised to deal with his subject in a separate book, of which we know nothing. And though his second book is lost, even then we can form an idea of Longinus' views about the strong emotions from his book on the sublime. हम इस बुक के जो भी पेजेस बचे हैं उन्हीं में से हम निकाल सकते हैं उसके व्यूज को. And a lot of remarks here and there about passion in this treatise undoubtedly leave us of what he thought about strong emotions, which is an important factor in the making of the sublimity. Got it, students? And the third point is appropriate use of the figure of speech. This is something which is different from the natural, which is given by the God. This is something which is artistic aid given to a sublimity, and the artistic use of the figures of speech. करीब 1/3 of the treatise has been devoted to the discussion of the figures, and it is not much surprising because Longinus was mainly concerned with rhetoric, in which a proper or improper use of figures of speech make all the difference. Rhetoric तो मतलब आप समझते ही है ना कि rhetoric को लगा करके we basically make the system beautiful. So a figure is not an unnatural imposition on a speech for the sake of ornamentation, but by adding an aroma of strangeness into the ordinary speech, it actually causes a pleasant surprise. ये बहुत बड़ी बात होती है, बहुत बड़ी विद्या होती है, सबको नहीं आता. Sublimity and passion work as an antidote against the handicap, and this handicap disappears in a style that is already elevated in other ways. So a figure is at its best when the very fact that it is a figure which is escaping the attention, and the art which employs them escapes suspicion when once it has been associated with beauty and sublimity. So ये बहुत important points हैं जो आप कभी लिख सकते हैं, बोल सकते हैं, इंटरव्यू में आप कह सकते हैं, कहाँ पे क्या कब क्या चीजें आपसे पूछ ली जाएं. So these things will actually nurture your literary level. The fourth point which is next is the nobility of diction. Diction का मतलब होता है choice of words. कैसे words हम इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, the proper use of words, the use of meta words, ornamented language. So this is again the view on diction from the book On the Sublime by Longinus. And Longinus opined that the use of proper and striking words enthrall the hearers. It is actually moving. It has a moving effect. It has also a seductive effect upon the reader. आप कभी भी देखिए कोई भी मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर्स, टीचर्स, अच्छे orators, when they speak, they have a seductive effect upon the readers, and they are spellbound by whatever they are speaking, and you are totally lost in their lectures. So that is called the perfection of grandeur, the perfection of beauty, knowledge, dignity, force, power, and other qualities which comes into dead things and gives a life, a living voice. Beautiful words give a peculiar light to the thoughts. When the object is trivial, to invest it with grand and stately words would have the same effect as putting a full-sized tragic mask on the head of a little child. And this shows the importance of homely expressions, which are sometimes more effective than stately language. So among these ornamented speeches, Longinus considers metaphor and hyperbole and says that they actually lend the distinction to style if they appear in disguise. And the last is dignity of composition. Composition का मतलब आप तो सब समझते ही होंगे, the proper arrangement of words. So here with this heading, dignity of composition, the great writer Longinus says that the proper arrangement of words is not only a natural source of persuasion and pleasure, but also lends dignity to the composition. So there should be harmony in the arrangement of words. And so a writer should blend मतलब mix करना, thoughts, passion, emotion, words into a very harmonious sentence, into the harmonious whole. So इसी को कहते हैं dignified and elaborate composition. ये बहुत अलग है कॉम्प्रेशन से. कॉम्प्रेशन का मतलब होता है कंसेशन, बिकॉज कंसेशन कर्टेज द सेंस, बट ब्रेविटी goes straight to the mark. So triviality of expression is apt, काफी होता है, to disfigure the sublimity, to disfigure the sublimity. And these are the most important things which I have taught you. Last, I would just speak few words about Longinus as a great critic. As you must have heard or read in your criticism or in your MA English course or whatever you have studied, that there have been few critics in the history of literary criticism who have given a good display of their learning. And among those, Longinus is a critic in whom we find a brilliant display of so many things, a brilliant fusion of classical as well as romantic critic in him. On the one hand, he has shown classical adherence in his criticism, and on the other hand, he has traced enigmatic possibilities of the flights of a romantic critic. And critics of outstanding repute have unanimously called him to be the first romantic critic. ये नेट का पहला क्वेश्चन था किसी साल में, who is the first romantic critic, और 4 ऑप्शंस थे, उसमें Longinus का नाम था. So this was the option Longinus, and it was, I think, the first 10 questions में से आया था ओरिजिनल नेट के पेपर में. So critics of outstanding repute have unanimously called him to be the first romantic critic, and equally he has been called a great classical critic. Longinus's treatise on the sublime is of fundamental importance in the history of criticism, as here he presents himself as the first romantic critic. And Longinus was the first romantic critic as he laid stress on passion, ecstasy, imagination, intensity, and even exaltation. In Longinus, all these romantic traits can be discovered or can be traced out. Longinus stresses on the aesthetic criticism which was adhered too much by the romantic critics. Longinus could not adhere to the traditional or the classical rules, and he revolted against all such set rules, and his advocacy for the quality of transport or ecstasy is the greatest proof of being called a great romantic critic. प्रोफेसर सेंट्सबेरी ने कहा है Longinus को the first romantic critic because he gives too much emphasis on imagination, ecstasy, and transport. So, this is a brief but a concentrated lecture on his Sublime and Longinus. I am sure you must have been benefited a lot by listening to this lecture, and undoubtedly Longinus' treatise on the Sublime is an epoch-making treatise. And yes, in the field of criticism, it has created almost a revolution. It has, in the real sense of the term, started a new age of criticism, and by including 5 sources of Sublime, he has shown high capabilities of a great critic. So, in the last, I can infer that Longinus, with his On the Sublime, paved a way for the new adoption of the applied methods of criticism, and he undoubtedly deserves a place, a high place among the other literary critics. If not equal to Plato, if not equal to Aristotle, he should be placed after these 2 great masterminds. He deserves a very high place as a great critic, and his contribution to criticism is undoubtedly, undisputedly immense. So that's all, students, for today. And if you want to ask any questions, I'm here for you for a few minutes. And I hope you would have gone to my lectures. जो बच्चे नहीं सुन पाए हैं, they will listen it afterwards. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me.